We all want to make better decisions. So in today's video, I'm going to walk you through our decision calculator to help you do just that. We're going to go over 3 scenarios. Should I order Uber Eats, go to the grocery store, or get a meal plan? Should I outsource this task or do it myself? Should I keep this job or get a new one? We're going to walk you through these scenarios as well as a bonus at the end if you stick around. It's going to be a game changer. Most people, when they think of a decision calculator, look at your hourly wage and how much time something takes, which is a good step in the right direction, but it falls short because time is not all created equal. We have 2 really distinct types of time when it comes to behavior. So we have our willpower-based time, which is deliberate, effortful, conscious, and then the polar opposite pretty much, which is habits, which is unconscious, automatic, and effortless. Now, if we're looking at time all the same, then it's just a big ball of gray, when in reality, it's made up of all these microparticles of black and white. This distinction is taken into account in our calculator. So we look at willpower time, habit time, money, and more importantly, how much you value each of these things, not just what you're being valued at by your job. Here we have our decision calculator. We're going to go over 3 examples: job, current job versus potential job, outsourcing something, should I do it myself, outsource that, whether it's video editing, hiring a researcher, personal assistant, whatever it might be, and then a food calculator. I'm going to walk you through the key really quickly. So basically in the key, we have WPH equals a willpower hour. So if you see like WPH, HH is habit hour. So we have, and we're operating on the basic fundamentals where it's going to be 10 willpower hours per day, 6 habit hours per day, and 8 sleeping hours. So these add up to 16, and that 8 hours equals 24 hours. This is going to be based on the diary study on habits, looking at basically 40% of our behaviors or habits. Obviously, this is going to be up for interpretation. If someone really wants to, they can change how many willpower hours / habit hours are in a day. This is just a really good baseline to start with. Okay, so then the blue ones will fill in. So all these blue ones are what you can manipulate and change, and I'll walk you through how this works and how this works. All the gray ones are going to be pulling in from the other stuff. And again, based on the 6 hours and 10 hours, all that. Okay, let's start with the outsource one because this is the easiest apple to apple decision. Typically what people do is just, hey, what is my time cost and how much money am I putting into it? And same thing. So if I walk, this is the typical time one, which I think falls short, and I'll say why. So here's the typical time version is, okay, hey, what's the cost to me? Do it myself. Let's say it cost me 10 hours of editing time, $0. If I outsource it, it costs me maybe an hour of back and forth telling them what to do. And this is the beauty of this. It's going to be different depending on whoever's using this and how much it's going to cost. Okay, these are conditionally formatted. Same with these, they're all conditionally formatted. Some are higher is better, some lower is better. If it's cost, lower is better. For example, the food, the lower option is the winning option, okay? So I've conditionally formatted them to work like that. And here is the hourly wage. So if you make $10 an hour, okay, hey, doing it myself at this rate would make better sense for me because it's a lower cost. If I make $12 an hour, that now turns this into the better decision, right? Because what this is doing is saying your total cost, it's putting your time into dollars based on this. But because not all time is created equal, meaning, and this is a simple example, could be used in a bunch of different ways, but if the 10 hours I'm spending are majoritively habitual, let's say it's super easy for me to edit the A cut, going from all my raw footage down to just, hey, this is the final cut. Let's say that takes me 2 hours and I have a different value of my habit hour to this. Let's move here because it makes it easier. So let's say my willpower value is higher than my habit value. And because these 2 are different, if I'm looking at this 10 hours all priced at the same wage, that's not giving me as accurate of a total cost. So what we could do here is if this, and this is pulling from here, which are the all important, you know what, I might as well go over this. Basically, this is your value of a willpower hour. This is your value of a habit hour. So let's call this 25, let's call this 10, just for sake of ease. But the way I would look at this is at the end of your workday, how much would you pay for a willpower hour back? Like at the end of a 24-hour day, how much would you be willing to pay for 1 willpower hour? And same thing here, how much would you be willing to pay for 1 habit hour back? Okay, and this is all like how you are valuing your time, which ends up setting the baseline here. And then based on your current job, this is the other important one. This value, your hourly wage is simple, still important, but this is how energy intensive, how willpower intensive is your current job. For example, if you're working at a job where you don't really have to focus, you're only doing a couple hours of work a day, then this is going to be much lower. This is going to be like, this is my overnight gate guarding job. It literally was like 1 hour of willpower or less on that job. So that other stuff is freed up elsewhere. So if you're at a typical job, it's probably going to be 6 or 7 hours out of the total 8 that it's going to be requiring of willpower. So this times your hourly, that price, and then the remaining from the 10 hours minus however much your job costs, it is the remaining at your value. Okay, so at your value gives us this, right? So that gives us our willpower value of the day, and the same thing with habits. It's your hourly wage, same thing, and it's out of an 8-hour shift minus that 7 equals this 1, and your value of habits is 10, remaining habit hours, because this is only 1, so 6 minus 1 equals 5. So this is your value of habits. So that 215 plus that 70 is this 285. Okay. So from that, like this number right here is your willpower hour in dollars. So 1 willpower hour averaged out of your actual hourly wage and how intensive it is for work and your value of it. So not just what your job is evaluating you at, but what your perceived value of it is. So this is the daily reality of that is 22. And same thing with habits is 7. So that's where these two numbers are pulling in here. This equals job calc J9. Okay, so it's pulling in from there. Same thing with the habits. So it's 22 and 7. So let's say this editing job that we were talking about over here, let's say that is going to cost about 10 hours in total. If it's about half, then that's what I would put here. And as you can see, like already it's like, holy, that if we were to just use the $20 an hour a salary or whatever we're getting paid over here, like if we're using $20, if we're using $20 an hour over here, this is what both these things end up costing, okay? So $200 would be the DIY cost. But in reality, if we're using the same 10 hours and it's half and half, that's only 143. So 143 is very different than 200. Yet people, because they think, hey, I only have conscious time, I only have willpower the entire day, they completely forget about habits and the different value of those compared to willpower, then they're really making a very drastic difference. Because in here, again, so it's 143 versus 122, right? So like right there, it's already, this is a lot closer. So let's say it's going to take me 3 hours, or let's say it's 2 hours, just so it's really close. So this is actually even now. And this, I'll change that, but these are literally even. So 2 hours and 10 hours. But if we put that in just time, 2 hours and 10 hours, it seems like, hey, outsourcing is the obvious choice, when in reality, this is actually evening out. Okay, so that's a $60 disparity between what you think that cost is and what it actually is, if this habit hour and breakdown is correct. If it's like 2 hours of habit and 8 hours, right? That's a 186, that's a lot closer. But again, that's for someone to decide, not just, oh, hey, 10 blanket hours. I don't know, let's just put a gray 10 instead of black and white 8 and 2, or vice versa. Okay, so that's the beauty of being able to break it down like this. You're making much more accurate decisions instead of just a blanket time and my current valuation. And again, the blue is for people to fill in based on their reality. So if a project, maybe editing takes someone else only 5 hours and they're super good at it. So it's only 2 hours of willpower and 3 hours of just automatic whatever. And it's going to cost $100 over here. And it's going to cost, maybe it's like 0.25 hours of willpower to set it up. This is the obvious choice for them, even though it takes a lot more time and a lot more willpower, but based on their hourly, it's just a smarter choice to do this. So that's what I'm trying to help people do. Is blue is fill in. Green, that's the good choice in terms of resource, right? It's really just high school algebra at its finest. This is high school algebra as well. We're using time and money, and we're putting our valuation of time into terms of physical dollars so that we can have our total valuation in terms of money, in terms of one currency, because that's how you weigh apples to apples, okay? So the beauty of this calculator is that here are the pitfalls of just using time. One, you don't put your own value on this dollar, right? That's your job has done that for you. And that doesn't mean that your other hours outside of that job are going to be worth that same amount of money. So what this allows us to do is say, hey, this is what I really value my willpower at. This is how much I think if I were to work on a side hustle, this is how much I think this hour of work is worth in terms of money. Or again, like how much would you pay to have that back? We can value this in a bunch of different ways, but you're able to input that a lot. And it's taking into account if you're working 7 hours a day out of your 10 available, it's saying, hey, these 7 are valued at that. It's not only using what you think you're worth, right? This is what you think you should be worth, this total daily value here in terms of money. It's not actualized money, right? It's in terms of money. How much is your willpower time plus your habit time? Whereas in this fairyland, all perception, your current job, this is how much am I actually getting paid? And these 3 down here, this is your value of that day. So as you can see, this is the best one right now because it has the highest value. This is your yearly value. So just on a bigger scale, it's literally just that times 365. And then this is your actual salary. So if you see here, like these look very similar in terms of actual salary, but this one is the better choice in terms of daily. This is 75% of these other 2 more or less on the actual salary per year, but it's a much higher value in terms of day. So this is saying that it's almost like a payoff point in the future. Yeah, you're only getting paid this much now, but that day is worth this much based on your perception of these. If you think this is like 35, makes that way more if you're only getting paid 20. If you think it's, I don't know, 20 as well, and you think that's 10, let's say this is $10 an hour for that. It all plug and play to make the choice obvious to you in this case. So these 2 numbers happen to be really important for the rest of these as well. Going through this scenario is the same thing. This is just choice A versus choice B. This is a cost type of decision. Same thing here. It's a cost type of decision. Should I cook, buy groceries, do dishes, do all that stuff? Should I buy a meal plan? That's Green Zebra, but I'll make it more clear. Green Zebra or order Uber Eats or something similar. I haven't really gone through these things, but it's like, how much per week am I spending on cooking, on going to the grocery store, on deciding what I should buy, on cleaning up, costs that you wouldn't incur if you were using these other ones. So it's like your monetary cost, your habit cost, your willpower cost. And it's literally just that plus this. And blue is what you fill in. Right? Blue is what you fill in. These are pulled automatically based on what your current situation is. This would probably be cooking, so it'd probably be like 2 hours in there as well. So in this case, this is the best choice for this person. But let's say you're making $50 an hour. Let's say you value your willpower at 60, whatever it is. You come over here. Okay, this is the best choice monetarily for you. Because your cost, if you're spending 6 willpower hours that you value and are valued at 50 or 60, then this becomes a lot more expensive to spend on something like groceries. As you can see, the total daily cost, or weekly cost in this case, or whatever it might be, is more expensive. Okay, so this is a much better option. And same thing like over here is a better option than that. I know that was quite a bit to take in. Let me know your thoughts. 1, how it's set up. 2, how you think I might be able to better display the information, maybe a certain order, what things really clicked with you, what didn't, what other use cases for this, anything along those lines. The bonus one that I'm going to give in the video is going to be saving if you are not returning something. So it's looking at if I buy something on Amazon, I buy a like lens on Amazon, is willpower time and habit time I'm going to spend on returning that thing going to be worth it for me? If it's a $10 product, is it going to be worth it for me to go get a label? If I don't have a printer, go get a label, spend that 30 minutes of my day. And again, it's all based on your hourly. So if you make like $100 an hour and you're spending 30 minutes, obviously super simple, just using the time one. If you're spending 30 minutes of willpower on it, then that's $50 cost. If you're only getting back $20, but you're spending $50 worth of resources, worth of willpower to get it back, you're losing $30. So it's not worth it for you. A lot of people think on principle, I should just return it regardless. But it's like, no, there's going to be a cost. Obviously, sunk cost fallacy and all that comes in, but it's just another scenario breaking apart our hourly wage, understanding how much willpower and how much habit is going into that, and how much cost of each of those time, money, or habit time, willpower time, money is going into that to then save a certain amount. Like what's the equal point or whatever. Any other use cases you can think of, hit me up. I'm going to ask people for comments for other use cases, but these are the main ones that I feel could be most useful to people right now. So let me know what you think of that, how I can make the calculator look nicer, anything. Down for feedback. Okay, appreciate it.